pick to get your sweet potato souffle, your stewed tomatoes, your okra stews, your rice with those homemade stews and those tomato gravies, your cabbages. And the cabbages and the greens, when you're dealing with people who actually cook, you actually don't need to use meat for those type of seasonings. What you do is that you take a little bit of your olive oil, or if people may use just regular vegetable oil, and you actually take your herbs, whether it be like some fresh thyme or your onions or your garlic, and then you actually create like a roux, and that's your base, and you season that with your food. So many people, just like how they have told us that, oh, that hip-hop is so bad, no, once it got tainted in with the commercialism, that's when the hip-hop got bad. So a lot of people have been thinking that all soul food is bad, but if you have that in your brain set, that would come from you not really being around elders and being in the garden with your elders. Because if you spent time with your ancestors, you'll know that the soul food is really comprised about 70-80% of the vegetables. But if you're just going on it based on a commercial mindset or based on those people who have not really been cognizant, they have put a lot of mess in their foods. But just like how with anybody, when you start paying attention to how a lot of the ancestors, how they cook the food and the elders, you would have a situation where about 80 to 90% of the food is really comprised of the vegetables, and then the meat is there as just like a little seasoning. It's not the main bulk of the diet, like how people think that it's supposed to be now. So I just wanted to say that. And so I hope I didn't make you upset when I said that, but I had to put that on the record because a lot of vegans do buy into the commercialized aspect about what vegetarian eating is, and they try to dismiss anything that their grandparents actually grew up out of the ground. So, that was that. So, but brother, yeah, so anything else that you wanted to speak about and bring to the table? Because I'm just tripping off of what your auntie said, because it is so profound, and I want you to say that again and just tell us about your experience with actually getting the home and everything, and talk about what type of fixer-upper work or whatever you had to do. That'll be good.
Well, like I said, I didn't say this, but many of our I was born in Los Angeles, but my mother is from the South. She's from Alabama, so everybody's familiar with how the South was back in the 50s and 60s. Most of the young people, when they had a chance to get up and get out of Dodge, they got out of Dodge. In Alabama, a lot of people went to Detroit to get into the car market. They were building cars up in the Detroit area, moved up to Chicago. A few moved out to California. When those people, and this happened everywhere, people were trying to get out of the South. So when those people left, they left a bunch of stuff down in the South. Down a bunch of empty houses, a bunch of empty land, and they just went to the greener pastures of California, to these big cities. Those places are still down in the South now. Granted, it's been a while. These houses are still down there, but they're abandoned. And one of the things about the brothers back then that built their own houses, these men were building their houses for their family, and these brothers were some wonderful carpenters. Something that we can do, something that everybody see this collapse coming, or everybody see what's going on in these cities, to go down there and reclaim those homes, pay the back taxes on them, and the taxes in some of these places are little of nothing, and go in there and begin fixing up these homes. Now this can be done. These young cats need something to do. We don't really know how to use our mechanical skills anymore. These can be opportunities where we can make our building skills better, practice our building skills, come up with different ideas on how we should live in houses or how we should build houses. This is what I mean about us creating our own ways of living that's going to be conducive to life for us. Excuse the train. Excuse the train.
That's all good.
I'm up here in Berkeley, and it's supposed to be one of the best places in the world to live. And it's a trip. These cities are a trip.
But it's all right.
Anyway, okay, but anyway, we're going to have to start building ways of life that is conducive to life for us. I mean, an example, garage manufacturing. These are things that we can do in our garages or on the land that we have, that we can build stuff that we could use. Like, let's say solar panels. Let's say if we're going to build up a little city and we build up a solar yard or a solar area where all the houses in that area draws off that solar panel, and the people who are drawing off of it helps build it. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? This could be done probably the what we spend on buying a car every year. These are the things that we're going to have to start getting into if we're going to survive what's coming in this next millennium.
I see what you're saying. I see. And another thing, too, to look at is that there's a lot of towns that are being that are up for sale. Sometimes
a lot of towns?
Whole towns and villages.
Yes.
That are for sale all over the country. So whereas one may go and they may get a mortgage for $150,000, $200,000, $300,000. In certain areas, you may be able to get a town for about $100,000, $90,000. That may be comprised of 30 to 50 acres.
Right. And
sometimes 100, 200 acres. So, I just wanted to let people know that so they can actually just do a Google that says towns for sale. And you'll see all of the articles and some of the postings and everything in regards to this. Because a friend of mine had brought this to my attention, and I'm like, wow. And so with thinking about that, this just goes into the whole concept of how the estates and everything originally got stolen from the ancestors. They just pretty much came and took the land and then developed it and instituted their governmental construct over it and just deemed whoever that was on that land already there to be a part of their property. And that's how the birthright theft, the denationalization, everything happened. But right now, since everything pretty much is going downhill, a lot of this property is up for sale.
Right.
So
And another thing what we have to do, and this is very important, when you go looking for that land, make sure that you are not in that free trade zone area, because that's a lot of people are getting caught up into that. The free trade zone has an area. They have land mass that's an area. Make sure that the house that you or property or whatever that you're getting doesn't fall in that free trade zone, because it'll be considered eminent domain and they'll take it from you.
Oh, my. So that's what's connected to the root of a lot of the eminent domain.
Right. You have so many, Agenda 21, it's so many laws and dictates and orders that have been put down in the last 20 years that'll make your head spin. What I'm saying is we're going to have to work in between that. And one of the best things that we can do now that I know of, I'm sure there's other things that, maybe some of your callers can share, but one of the best things that because I'm doing it now, to alleviate of that monthly rent and that mortgage, get these tax liens home, just pay the back taxes on them and go in there and fix them up. What you would pay in rent in a month could be used to fix up the house. And that's one of the main problems that we have in our economics. We have to pay foreigners rent. Think about that. Say that
again, please.
I said we are paying foreigners rent. So that's the equivalent of me coming to your house, wherever you live. I say, Santasha, this is my house now. You pay me rent, and you start paying it. That's the condition that the so-called African-American, black, Negro people are under right now. So you're going to have all kind of problems of that off the month. Somebody should be paying you taxes. They're on your land. They're using your resources. But call ourselves is what we start to become. And when we call ourselves all these names that people have given us, we start to become the definition of what they had the intent for the whole time. And that's what will see us in the conditions that we are.
I hear you on that. So you had made mention. You said tax lien home. Let's
say a lady had her last kid in 1945. So all the kids left home. And let's say they lived in a little town that held about 300 people. So the lady, all her kids then moved away. She's living in the house. The kids come back every year to check on her, fly her out sometime to kick it with them in whatever city they live on. She comes down here. Eventually, she passes away. Her friend that she went to church with and went to grocery shopping with, she passes away. All her kids that were in the neighborhood pass away. Those houses are sitting up because they've been paid for years. They're paid for. The only thing that hasn't been paid on it are the taxes. There's no mortgage on the house. It's just back taxes paid. And this is very important. A lot of immigrants come over here and go to those tax lien houses, those they have them in the county courthouse, those tax lien sales. It's a lot of foreigners coming over here in those houses, fixing them up, and renting them back to you. They'll come over here, pay and the taxes down, I'm in the South, are cheap. Now, I don't want to get into the tax situation because that's another conversation for another time, but I'm talking about living a way of life where you don't have to struggle and try to maintain to break your neck to pay somebody rent, especially when all these layoffs are coming or these layoffs are taking over or these free trade agreements are coming over here. These foreigners are over here to replace us. They are over here to replace us.
Yeah, they're not playing with the acquisition because there was a group in Cali that actually had a lot of Chinese to come over, and they did a tour. They called it a real estate tour where all they were doing was going across the country, peeping out potential investments. So, you're on point with that, and that was just about 7 months ago. So,
And check out the areas where they are. They have a whole bunch of national parks and stuff. Think about the interior of America. Just think about just think about everything that's in America. Think about the Grand Canyon. Think about the Mississippi River. Think about the oceans and lakes. Think about the natural resources, the timber. Think about the animals. Think about the trees. Think about the coal. Think about the steel. Think about the labor that they get from the people. Think about what we have turned our backs on, and don't care what other people do to it. And we're going to have to reevaluate our disposition. Because where we're coming from, you can see it. The death in our communities are unfathomable. You hear a story every day. The girl that got her face blown off going to ask for help. The little kid they found in California with his organs missing. The cat down in Georgia that he was found in a mat. And they're taking our organs. We haven't set up a community or something where we can live, where we can protect our females, our children, and our young men, where we can build a prosperous something on earth that's ours, something that we build for ourselves, not getting it from somebody else, that we produce ourselves because we do have an association and an affinity with this planet. And I think it's way past time that we get back into it.